All that power will come from a single engine option, a 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes 272 horsepower, 203 kilowatts, and 280 pound-feet, 380 newton-meters, of torque. It's the same mill Acura showed us in the prototype. Technically speaking, peak horsepower is slightly down from the current model, but torque is slightly up and available across a wider range. It's sent through a new 10-speed automatic that also offers a manual mode through paddle shifters mounted on the steering wheel. For starters, the 2019 RDX isn't just a refresh. This is an all-new vehicle that Acura says is the most extensive redesign of the model in a decade. It rides on a new platform that stretches the RDX wheelbase by 2.6 inches, 6.6 centimeters, which translates to a bit more room inside for both people and things. It remains a 5-passenger SUV, but the changes allow the new RDX to have a fully flat rear floor when cargo space is needed. While the RS5 Coupe will make the sprint to 60 miles per hour in just 3.7 seconds, Audi claims the RS5 Sportback can do the same run in under 4 seconds. With the extra bodywork, we're guessing that's Audi's way of saying it's 3.9 seconds. And just like with the two-door variant, opting for the optional Dynamic Plus package raises the car's top speed to 174 miles per hour, up from 155 miles per hour. Under the hood you'll find the same 2.9-liter turbocharged V6 as in the coupe, as well as the same power output. Not that you'll be complaining. The RS5 Sportback produces a whopping 444 horsepower, 331 kilowatts, and 443 pound-feet, 600 newton-meters, of torque. All that power comes paired to an 8-speed Tiptronic automatic transmission. Practicality remains. Even though this will be the smallest Cadillac SUV, the 2019 XT4 is said to offer 22.5 cubic feet of space with the rear seats up and 48.9 with them lowered, which is only a modest difference versus the XT5, 30.0 63.0 cubic feet, and an optional towing package will allow for pulling up to 3,500 pounds. Underhood is a turbocharged 2.0-liter inline-4 engine rated for 237 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. It mates to a 9-speed automatic transmission with either front or all-wheel drive. Cadillac predicts fuel efficiency of 25 miles per gallon city, 30 miles per gallon highway, and 27 combined. The all-wheel drive system can disconnect the rear axle to improve fuel efficiency, too. In terms of powertrain, the Sierra AT4 will offer massaged versions of 3 engines that we already know from the rest of the GM truck family, and the brand new turbodiesel we're looking forward to. The 5.3-liter and 6.2-liter V8 engines will be available, along with the diesel 3.0-liter inline 6-cylinder. Specific horsepower and torque outputs for AT4 haven't been specified, but they're likely to be close or identical to existing versions: 355 horsepower and 383 pounds-feet, 265 kilowatts and 519 newton-meters, for the 5.3 liters, 420 horsepower and 460 pounds-feet, 313 kilowatts and 624 newton-meters, for the 6.2 liters. Both the 6.2 liters V8 and that diesel will be mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Both gas-burning V8s will have cylinder deactivation tech, and engine stop-start. Interior changes are limited, but the truck has 2-tone leather seats with embroidered AT4 badging on the headrests. Drivers will also find contrast stitching, all-weather floor mats and dark-tinted and textured aluminum finishes. Hyundai's first compact electric crossover returns a respectable 250 miles, 402 kilometers, of range on the US scale thanks to a 64 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack. That's a 12-mile improvement over the Chevrolet Bolt EV, 238 miles, a 30-mile improvement over the standard Tesla Model 3, 220 miles, and a significant 99-mile improvement over the new Nissan Leaf, 151 miles. Total power output is listed at 201 horsepower, 150 kilowatts, and 291 pound-feet, 394 newton-meters, of torque. With DC fast charging standard. The figure is mostly in line with the European version of the Kona F. Depending on the trim level, the non-U.S Kona is good for either 300 kilometers, 186 miles, of range on the new Worldwide Harmonized Light Vehicles Test Procedure, WLTP, with the 39.2 kWh battery pack, or 470 kilometers, 292 miles, with the larger 64 kWh battery. American buyers won't be able to choose between two versions of the electric Kona, but do get the more efficient, and more powerful, of the two. Underhood, 3 different engine options for the Santa Fe, both gas and diesel, will be available to buyers, starting off with a 2.4-liter inline 4-cylinder GDI engine. That unit delivers 185 horsepower, 137 kilowatts. A more powerful turbocharged 2.0-liter 4-cylinder engine produces 235 horsepower, 175 kilowatts, and a 2.2-liter quad turbodiesel produces 190 horsepower, 141 kilowatts, and 322 pound-feet, 436 newton-meters, of torque. All engines come mated to the same 8-speed automatic gearbox, which is said to be lighter and more efficient than the 6-speed that it replaces. In its home market, it will arrive with 1 petrol and 2 diesel units, making between 186 PS, 183 horsepower, and 235 PS, 232 horsepower, and working together with an 8-speed automatic gearbox. All-wheel drive is optional. Currently arriving at U.S. dealerships, the 2018 Tucson Sport comes equipped with a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine that produces 181 horsepower, 135 kilowatts, and 175 pounds-feet, 237 newton-meters, of torque. This is a modest improvement over the standard model, which has a 2.0-liter 4-cylinder with 164 horsepower, 122 kilowatts, and 151 pounds-feet, 204 newton-meters, of torque. The revisions are even more extensive in the cabin. Hyundai's designers overhaul the center stack so that the infotainment system now rises above the dashboard rather than integrating into it. This also allows for moving the vents below the screen instead of flanking the display. Drivers look at an updated instrument cluster, and there's now an electronic parking brake. It's good for 542 horsepower, 550 PS, and 680 newton-meters, 501.5 pounds-per-foot, of torque, paired to a standard all-wheel drive system and an 8-speed automatic transmission. It catapults the F-Pace SVR to 60 miles per hour in 4.1 seconds, 100 kilometers per hour in 4.3 seconds, and onto a top speed of 176 miles per hour. 283 kilometers per hour. It also promises to sound the part as the V8 gets Jaguar's variable valve active exhaust system that's 6.6 kilograms, 14.5 pounds, lighter than the standard exhaust. The high-power Jag SUV asks $79,990, not including a $995 destination and handling fee. For what it's worth, that makes it a mere $5 cheaper than the 505 horsepower, 376 kilowatt, Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. The new F-Pace SUV will hit dealer showrooms later this spring. In South Korea, the K9 will be available with 2 V6 engine choices and a V8, but the K900 in the US will only get the 3.3-liter bi-turbo V6 from the Stinger. The mill produces the same 365 horsepower, 272 kilowatts, and 376 pound-feet, 510 newton-meters, of torque in this application. The sole gearbox choice is an 8-speed automatic, and it sends power to a torque vectoring all-wheel drive system. It generally sends 80% of the torque to the rear wheels but can do a 50-50 front-rear split depending on the situation. Kia's new flagship is both longer and wider than the model it replaces. It rides on a 60mm, 2.3-inch, longer wheelbase that now stretches 3,105 mm, 122.2 inches. That's longer than the short wheelbase version of the Mercedes S-Class sold in Europe, and almost as long as the long wheelbase version we get in America. Under the hood, the twin-turbo 4.0-liter V8 engine carries over. It produces 476 PS, 350 kilowatts, and 650 Nm, 479 pounds-feet, of torque in the standard model, while the C63S is rated at 510 PS, 375 kilowatts, and 700 Nm, 516 pounds-feet, of torque. While the ratings remain unchanged, the engine is now connected to an AMG SpeedShift MCT9G transmission, which promises even shorter shift times. Depending on the model, the C63 can accelerate from -100 km/h, 0 to 62 mph, in as little as 3.9 seconds before hitting an electronically limited top speed of up to 290 km/h, 180 mph. The 6 available programs, Slippery, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, Race, and Individual, are under the AMG Dynamics attribute and can be adjusted to match the car to various conditions and driver demands. There are also 4 agility functions that include Basic, Advanced, Pro, and Master that can make the C63 as mild or wild as your skill set allows. Under the hood is a new version of the Forester's current base engine, a revised 2.5-liter flat-4 with 182 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque, gains of 12 horsepower and 2 pounds-feet. Fuel economy is also said to improve to as much as 33 miles per gallon highway, thanks in part to the addition of active grille shutters, compared to the old Forester's 32 mile-per-gallon rating. A continuously variable transmission is standard. There's no mention of a manual transmission, or of an optional turbo engine as was offered on the old Forester XT. As for the 2019 Subaru Forester, it could get a price hike over the $22,795 commanded by the existing model, possibly approaching the competition that starts at around $24,000 in the States. Following its debut in New York, the next Forester will be arriving in showrooms later in the second half of the year. By switching to the TNGA platform, the 2019 Corolla is now 1.5 inches, 38 mm, longer, 1.2 inches, 31 mm, wide and 1.0 inches, 25 mm, lower than its predecessor, and has a 1.5 inches, 38 mm, longer wheelbase. Moreover, it features additional sound-deadening material. Toyota will offer the all-new Corolla in North America with just one engine, a 2.0-liter 4-cylinder gasoline unit which replaces the old 1.8-liter and is said to be both smaller and lighter. It works paired to a 6-speed manual or a new CVT gearbox. It features more spacious storage areas, including a center console box big enough to accommodate a smartphone with a 5.5-inch touchscreen. The interior brings a mix of glossy and matte surfaces, along with very large cup holders on the front doors, can hold 24-ounce bottles and A4-sized documents, as well as in the back where the rear doors can carry 16-ounce bottles. There are no surprises under the hood, as Toyota has long abandoned the use of V6s in its compact SUV. But at the same time, Audi refuses to adopt a modern turbocharged 4, at least at this stage, for the RAV4. As such, the 2019 model soldiers on with a 2.5-liter straight-4 paired to an 8-speed automatic and a hybrid variant combining a 2.5-liter straight-4 with an electric motor and a CVT. Toyota has yet to release performance figures for either of them, but the hybrid is expected to be more powerful as it will be used on the XSE hybrid variant that will sport a firmer suspension. Lincoln eyes the Aviator as slotting into the mid-size 3-row SUV segment, offering a plethora of luxury features that includes functionality for owners to use a smartphone as the vehicle key. It also is fully equipped with Ford's new Co-Pilot 360 driver assistant safety systems, and it features something called suspension preview technology. Basically, a forward-looking camera scans ahead and adjusts suspension settings depending on road conditions. Being that this is a preview model, it's hard to say just how many of these features or capabilities will ultimately make it a production. Lincoln says the Aviator doesn't just preview a specific model, however, but the direction in which the entire company is headed. Based on what we see so far, that could be a darned good-looking future. And a first for the brand. The Aviator concept incorporates a plug-in hybrid powertrain, albeit of unspecified parameters. All we know is that the internal combustion part is twin-turbocharged, so our best guess is a V6, and Ford doesn't currently offer a V6-based FEV. The hybrid versions of the C-Max and Fusion use a 2.0-liter 4. While Mini was tight-lipped about the retro EV, the company didn't waste any time talking about the upcoming model. It will be based on the 3-door hatchback and was recently previewed by the Mini Electric concept, which debuted at the 2017 Frankfurt Motor Show. Mini says the upcoming model will be packed with charisma, individual style and driving fun. That car will not be a sweet classic like this one, but a modern Cooper. We've seen a few test vehicles out and about, but we don't know anything about that car either. Even the electric concept that appeared last year at the Frankfurt Motor Show was absent any hint of power or range. Instead, we were told, much like we're being told now, that it would deliver all the go-karting goodness we've come to embrace from Mini. Thomas O'Volpe, Infiniti Director Global Motorsport and Performance Projects, told Car Advice that the company has already found suppliers for the electric system components. However, the top execs at the Renault-Nissan-Mitsubishi alliance still need to sign off on the project. This means the model wouldn't arrive on the road until 2020 at the earliest. With around 500 horsepower on tap, the Q60 Black S would give Infiniti a competitor against the likes of the 444 horsepower, 331 kilowatt, Audi RS5, 467 horsepower, 348 kilowatt, Lexus RCF, and 503 horsepower, 375 kilowatt, Mercedes-AMG C63S. The rest of these models lack the Infiniti's high-tech hybrid system, though, which could set the vehicle apart in the performance coupe ranks. There's more to the UX than its look-at-me appearance, as Lexus is proud to announce its new high-riding offering has a segment-leading turning circle of 34 feet, 10.3 meters, and is the first model to ride on the company's new GA-C platform. The new underpinnings have contributed to the vehicle's best-in-class lowest center of gravity, which should help with handling especially on twisty roads. If you're wondering about its size, the UX is 177 inches, nearly 4.5 meters, long, and part of that is a 103.9-inch, 2.63 meter, wheelbase. Those willing to step up to the UX 250 hours model will be rewarded not only with a hybrid powertrain rated at a slightly higher 176 horsepower estimated combined output, but also with an all-wheel drive system as a result of implementing a rear-mounted electric motor. Whenever the onboard computers and sensors detect a loss of grip at the rear axle, 80% of the total power is automatically distributed to the rear wheels when the vehicle is traveling at speeds of up to 43 miles per hour, 70 kph. The car won't go through any changes in the powertrain area, and that means it will combine the same turbocharged 1.5-liter 3-cylinder gasoline engine with an electric motor. The combustion engine is good for 134 horsepower and 162 pound-feet, 220 newton-meters, of torque, whereas the electric motor is rated at 87 horsepower and 122 pounds-feet, 165 newton-meters. That gives the hybridized Mini a combined output of 221 horsepower and 284 pounds-feet, 385 newton-meters, good for a sprint to 60 miles per hour, 96 kph, in 6.8 seconds. With the battery fully charged, The Countryman will cover up to 24 miles, 40 kilometers, running solely on electric juice. That would be the Panamericana, otherwise known as the Pan American Highway, Route Panamericana, or Intramericana, the longest north-south highway in the world. It incorporates over 30,000 miles, 48,000 kilometers, of roads. They traverse a distance of 16,000 miles, 25,750 kilometers, as the bird flies, from Tierra del Fuego in Argentina to Alaska. The concept is equipped with a plug-in hybrid powertrain that consists of a 3.6-liter V6 engine, 2 electric motors and an 18 kWh lithium-ion battery pack. This enables the crossover to produce a combined maximum output of 355 horsepower, 264 kilowatts. Volkswagen says this should enable the model to accelerate from -60 miles per hour in 5.4 seconds, hit a top speed of 130 miles per hour, 209 kilometers per hour, and travel up to 26 miles, 41.8 kilometers, on electricity alone. There's even more technology inside the cabin, where the Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport concept has a larger display for its instrument cluster, 12.3 inches, than its touchscreen infotainment system, 10.1 inches. The former can show all manner of driving, entertainment, and navigation data. The infotainment system, as on other Volkswagen models, will have proximity sensors and gesture controls, with 2D or 3D navigation mapping among its many features.